Alright, so first thing we're going to need to do is find a building. Honestly, 90% of the buildings will work. It kind of depends on how much work you want to put into it. Some buildings are more difficult than others. For instance, like this building here, there's a lot here. You're going to end up getting the entire building. So if you want multiple interiors to be here, let's say you open up this door and there's one interior here, but then you want something back here, they have to be a part of the same map. So it's a lot easier if you find something that is by itself. I would say something like this parking lot, but you'd probably get the entire parking lot with that. So it's best to just find something that is alone. Oh, and my codewalker crashed. While that's loading, it's easy to find things alone because you'll be able to work with just kind of that area. There will be still some things that will collide with other things, like collisions. Because if I come in here and select this building, you can see that the building, it's just this building. But when you go to work with the collisions, you'll see that the collisions are, you know, this building, these buildings over here, the ground, and it's going to be around the building. But to kick this off, let's go ahead and use, let's see, yeah, let's do this building right here. And as you can see, we're gonna get all of it. This might actually not be a great idea because I know that this door right here, you can go into, and I don't want to mess up that interior. So let's go down a little bit more. Let's try this building. And to get the actual building, you just kind of have to, you know, click on things and try to get the right one. You can just move things out of the way. Alright, we have the building, and that's attached to that store over here, so that's not going to work. You can just Control Z to put all that back together. Here we go. Let's just do this one. So here we have like the pipes around it, the details. So you just kind of have to move your mouse around and try to get just the building. That is a phone. This is like the dirt and stuff around it, so we can just move that out of the way for now. This is the ground around it. We don't want that. That is a fence. That's details over here. Sometimes it can be really difficult to select the right thing. There we go. So we got the right thing now. It's kind of strange under there. Don't worry about moving the stuff onto the ground. It's not going to stick. Like, it's not going to affect us when we go to change things. But once you have the building selected, you want to come up here and copy this. And then you want to open RPF Explorer. Just wait for that to load. You want to paste that in there, hit enter, and you're going to get a bunch of stuff in here. What you want is just the name and then YDR. And if there's multiple in here that are named the same thing, you want to go with whatever's the biggest. And to confirm that this is the right one we want, you can just double click it and see. Yep, that is what we want. So you want to right click, extract, not raw. You want to right click, extract XML. I want to put this in my folder, keep things organized. And there are other things here, like these are the things for like the awnings. Those are those metal bars that we moved. You don't need to extract these. These are the textures around it. There's more of that detail if you want to like make it not dirty, but it's gonna look really weird. Again, you don't need to extract those unless you want to edit them, but it's best if you just leave them alone. Once you have your YDR extracted, you want to come down to YMap here. You want to copy that and paste it in here, but you want to remove the .ymap part and search that. And then you have your .ymap. If you open it, it's just going to look like this. Don't touch anything in here. You just want to extract the XML of that too. I got my folder here, so I'm going to save it there. Minimize that. And you're going to want to move your building out of the way for now, because when we go to extract other things, it's going to be in the way. Another thing to keep in mind is when you're selecting your building, don't be too far away from it, because if you go too far away from it, it has what's called LOD, level of detail. And if you're too far away, it'll load a different level of detail, and if you select that, you'll see like, oh, I could just select the building easier, but if you move that up here and you get closer to it, it disappears. So what you've done is you've selected the level of detail for when you're further away, and you don't want to do that. You want to get right close to the building and try to select it. It's going to be really difficult to select certain buildings, but don't worry about the mess we've made. It's not going to affect anything. It's going to be easier to select things, but you want to come up here to mode, change it from entity to collision, and you're going to see all these like squares, rectangles, and pill shapes and stuff. Basically, you want to come to like kind of the front of your building, and you want to select the part of the building that you're going to be like kind of working with, and there's going to be sometimes a big shape around the building. You can either select that, or you can select the individual, like the door here. So let's say we're going to be working with this door. You can select this one, and you'll see that if we kind of move these out of the way, you can like look inside. You just need to select the door, or just kind of in the area of where you're going to be working, to make sure you get the right information. Once you've selected it, I'll select this one just to show that it's not going to make a difference at whatever you select, just as long as you're in the area. I want to select this one up here, and you're going to copy this. You don't want to copy the poly and the numbers and stuff, just the name. And then you can come back to your RPF Explorer, paste that in there, search it, and you're going to get just whatever the name is. And as you can see, like I said before, whenever you're exporting, like working with buildings, you're going to get things that are not just your building. The way GTA works is everything is kind of consolidated down, and it just so happens that this building has a little part of the parking lot in its collisions. It has the mountain in its collisions, and you just have to be aware of that. But as you can see, this is our first collision that we want. So we can right click, export XML, save it in our folder, and there will be a hi at, and sometimes you won't have these, sometimes you'll have multiple of them. Again, if you have multiple ones named the same thing, just go with whichever one is biggest in size. But if we open this, you can see that is not at all what we want. There's nothing around it, and this looks like it's a part of the theater. We don't want that, but I know for a fact that this this building has different collisions. So if you can't find the one you're looking for, just select something else, and you can see that the name up here changed a little bit. We want to copy that, go back to our RPF Explorer, paste it, remove that YBN, and you'll see it in here, and that is the building we want. So we close that, right click, export XML, save it, minimize your RPF Explorer, change collision to occlusion. And people get confused, they'll say like collision when they really mean occlusion, and they don't say it right, it's occlusion. And what occlusions do is, it's kind of hard to explain. I'm not sure what the red and blue means, but or rather, red is a like a polygon or a mesh of the occlusion, and blue is just a simple shape like a cube. But you want to select the occlusion that would be inside your building, and it's going to be a Y map up here, and you want to copy that. Make sure you're just getting the name, not the box occluder or occluder, or the 2 at the end. You want just the name.ymap. Come back to our RPF Explorer, paste that in here, remove .ymap. We have one here, and again it's going to be like the other one. Don't change anything in here, it's just going to look like this. You want to right click, export XML, save it in our folder, and we are done with CodeWalker for the moment. You don't need to export anything else unless you want to change certain things, like if you want to remove this like this pile of trash here or something. There'll be other things you'll have to do, but for now we're just making an interior for this, so there isn't anything else that you need to export. But you can kind of play around, like grass. There's grass, there's nav mesh. You can see where like NPCs will walk and stuff, as well as where the cars drive and such. But you don't need to do anything here. You can close CodeWalker when you're done exporting things, and we're ready to come back, go to Blender. So in here, you just want to delete all of that and make a new collection and call it Vanilla, and select it like that. Come into your viewport, hit N, go to Sollumz Tools, General, Import, go to where you exported everything here, and what you want to keep in mind is you can select all the YBN, YDRs and stuff all at once and click import. This will take a minute for me, but it's important to know that you can select the YBNs and YDRs and stuff and import them all at once, but when you go to import the YMaps, you have to import them one by one. You also want to have this checkmark checked, instance entities, whenever you are importing YMaps. And it doesn't matter which one you do first, but you just want to import it. And the occlusions is what takes the longest for me. Sometimes it is quick, sometimes it's not. But everything freezes when I import the occlusions, just because there's so many polygons in the occlusions. See, that took 11 seconds. And you'll notice that there's our building down here, and there's a bunch of buildings and stuff up there. What's down here is like the local position of our building. So you can see like the middle of all of our building is up here in the roof of this thing. You don't want to do anything to this one. You can actually go to your building model in the list here and hide it. You don't change anything there. We'll be working with stuff up here. The first thing you want to do is go to the shading mode, and you'll see things change colors. There's a bunch of blue, red, and greens and stuff. I don't have a numpad, so I have to select something and go over here to view and frame selected, and it takes me over here. the first thing you want to do is hit V, find missing textures, and go to... Shoot, I forgot one step. You want to do this while you're exporting things. It just makes it a little bit easier to do this. I might actually be able to Windows. Would be this one. Search it. So when you're exporting your YDR for your building, you want to open it. That's our building. Open this. Go to Materials. Save all textures. Mapping tutorial, and save it into vanilla textures or whatever you call your folder. And save it. 52 textures saved successfully. So you can close CodeWalker now that we have them. And then in here, in Blender, find missing textures, go to your vanilla textures folder, and there's going to be a bunch here. Don't select anything, just find missing textures. And you'll see down here, it looks kind of weird, but if I hide the collisions, you can see our building actually has the textures now, and it's not just purple. The first thing we want to do is hide everything. I'm doing that, by the way, by holding shift and clicking the eye, but you want to hide everything. Select your occlusion here, and we know that our building is this is like inside our building. So since this is just a box, if we come here, it's a box occluder, we can just delete that, delete the whole thing. And then this one is inside too, so we could just delete that too. If it was a mesh, like a model occluder, like the ground here, you would want to select it, hit tab to go into edit mode, and you'll see these triangles. You can go in here and just delete them like that, or rather you can delete faces. You do that, but we don't need to do that because our occlusions that we needed to remove were just boxes. So you can hide the occlusions, unhide the collisions, and this will allow us to walk inside. We need to edit this, so we'll be able to actually walk inside. And this is the same thing with the occlusions. Is if it's a like a box or just like a solid shape, you can just delete it. And same thing with our door here. I know that this is, excuse me, I know that this is just a box, so we could delete that. There's another shape behind here, so we just delete that. And now we have a doorway into our building. Like that. And then we can hide our collisions, unhide the Y map, which is STRM usually, and we want to make sure we're working on the building that is off in the distance, not at 0, 0 down there. So if we go here, entities here, and see, this is like not 0, 0, 0. So we want to make sure we're working on this one up here. You want to select it, hit tab to go to edit mode, and same thing with the collisions. You just want to go to face mode, select a part of the door that you want to remove, and hit L, and it'll select everything that's like linked to it, and delete faces. And I'm going to remove the like little strip that is around the door, because I believe that was a part of the door and the door like jam. As you can see, our door is gone, and we can see inside just fine. And once you have that, you can start, you can hit tab to go back to object mode, and we are done editing the like default vanilla building stuff, and we can start working on our own interior. What I like to do is when I'm done editing the vanilla stuff, I will unhide everything, just like that. I'll make double sure that everything looks good and fine. And one by one, I'll click on one of these, export CodeWalker, go back to my folder, Blender exported. And this is a collision, so just export. And I'll export these as I'm done working on them. So I'll do the vanilla stuff first, and then I'll export the vanilla stuff, and then I'll work on my interior. And I'll export the YMap. When you're exporting the YMap, I just learned this. You will see. Where is it? Not sure where it went, but just export. We'll see if that causes an issue later down the road. Again, occlusion, export, and you want to do this one by one. You don't want to select all of it and export, just in case something messes up. Export, and all of our vanilla stuff is done. So what you can do is hide it, but as you can see, there's like floor that is above our door. So what I'm going to do to keep everything aligned correctly, what I'm going to do is I'll just hide most of this, and I'll keep the occlusions there, so I can align based off the floor, because it looks fine from the outside, but when you go in, I would have aligned it down here or over here, and it wouldn't be aligned correctly. So I'm going to use this edge here to align. So I'm going to hit Shift A, Mesh, Plane, come up here, select your snapping, go here, Edge mode, and then click Align Rotation to Target, and then I'll hit G, and there's our plane, and as you can see, it's like flipping out and everything. You want to snap it to the edge, and you'll see that it's like rotated the wrong way, and you're like, stupid, that's not the right way, I'm not going to do that. What you want to do is come down here to rotation, do 0 for X and 0 for Y, and now it's rotated exactly the way you need it, and it is perfectly aligned with our door and this edge here. You want to make sure you want to come up here and turn off Align Target to Rotation. I'm going to go to Vertex Snapping because I find that a little bit easier to work with. And now what you can do is come down here and align it with your door and everything. Another organization thing I like to do is come down here, New Collection, and call this MLO. And I'll drag my plane in there. And so everything that isn't vanilla, you can minimize vanilla. Everything that isn't vanilla and everything that we add will be under MLO, like our plane. And it's just easier to see and visualize. But you want to select your plane and hit tab to go into edit mode. And as you can see, our gizmo here isn't facing the right way. So what you can do is come up here to global, hit this little plus, and then down here you want to rename this to MLO. And now that this gizmo is aligned with our plane, it's not going to be absolutely perfect and straight, but it's good enough to work with. It's not all sideways like global was, like this. So we can just base it off of our own, which is our plane. From here, I want to select vertex mode, and I'm just going to align these up with the front of this door. Same thing with this side. And now these points up here are perfectly aligned with the bottom of the door. I'll do the kind of left and right way for these back points. And I'll do the up and down for the back points, and I'll align it to the front of our plane. And I won't do this way just because if I do that, we won't end up with anything. So keep that in mind. Now that we have our plane here and it is aligned and shaped, we can go into edge mode. We can select this edge back here, and a good rule of thumb is if you want to make something bigger in a direction, that is how do I explain this? So if you want to make something bigger and the direction you want to make it bigger in means that it's going to stretch it, then you can just move the edge. Like I could just take the move tool and move it like this, and it as you can see, it's not going to do anything. It just makes it bigger. But let's say I wanted to put a wall here. I can't just take this blue one and drag it up. It's not going to work. It's just going to make a slope. So I'll move that back down and make it even. What you need to do is come down here to extrude region. This is going to show up, and it's going to look like this for you. But you want to come up here, and it's going to say normal and XYZ. You want to select XYZ, and then you'll have these. And then from here, then you can drag in the direction you want to go, and just like that. But as you can see, when I let go, it kind of finalizes and finishes that operation. What you want to do is when you're done extruding and you're done making, you know, this kind of change direction, you want to go back to your move tool and then move it from your move tool. Because let's say I let go here and I don't want my wall to be that small, so I'm still, you know, on extrude mode, and I accidentally let go and my wall is too small and I don't want it to be like that. If I just drag it up again, like, nope, that's too small, nope, that's just still too small, you get all these edges down here, and it's going to look really bad, and it's going to really kind of mess you up when you go down the road and try to work with it. It's going to confuse you, and it's not going to work out. So I'm going to undo that, and again, this wall is too small, so I'll go over to the move tool, and I can just move it up. But I don't want to do that, so I'll just Control Z until I'm back like this. I will make it a little bit bigger, and then again, this is way too thin. This is not our building, so you can come down here to loop cut. The way this works is it will only show up if you hover around the edge, and it will go in the direction that your kind of mouse is in. So on these two edges here, these parallel edges, it will cut it this way, and on this edge over here, it'll cut it lengthwise down. As you can see, it will only show up if I'm close to the edge. So if I select that, now we have an edge there. What we can do now is hit double G, make sure to hit G twice. We can now slide this edge all around. What I'm going to do is slide it up here, give it a little bit of a gap. Like right there, left click to place it. Now we have an edge there. Now we can select this edge here. And I know I said this before, but if I try to just drag this out, as you can see, our edge here is going to be turning into a triangle, and it's not going to look good. It's going to be really bad. So you can come down here to extrude region, select the edge, extrude it out a little bit. As you can see, it created like a pocket here. Go back to your move tool, and now you can slide it out a little bit more. And we go about there. We'll do the same thing for the other side. Extrude region, bring it out just a little bit, move back to the move tool, bring it out just a little bit more, and there we go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a kind of back room here. So I'll go back to my loop cut, select here, I'll make 2 of them. I'll hit double G to slide it, and I'll do kind of like that, and this will kind of be the thickness of our wall. And then what we can do from there is go back to loop cut, and we'll actually use this as our kind of doorway. So we can go back to move tool, we can go to edge, select all your edges around this like floor here, and select all of our edges. Be sure to get the ones at the front too. And you don't want to select the this edge at the front where our doorway is, just because you won't be able to see through it or walk through it. So you want to leave that open. And again, this is our inside wall, so we will select these just like that, and we will go to extrude region, and we will pull this up just a little bit, move back to our move tool, because we don't want to, you don't want to stay in extrude region all the time. We can then move this up, and you want to snap it to the top of your door, so it will align correctly. And then from there, go back to extrude region, and then just go up a little bit, just so we have, you know, a little bit of a roof, and it's not just, you know, from door frame in. Go back to your move tool, and we have our walls now, and we will work on, well, I'll just clean this up a little bit more. So I'll go down to this edge, and I will just snap it. Oh, I need to extrude the region. So extrude region. And I'll snap it to the front here, just so it's aligned. I'll come up here, same with extrude region, because it's changing the direction. I'll drag this, and I'll snap it over here, and now we have like that there. But sometimes that's not what you want. You don't want it to look like that. So what you can do is you can select this edge here and pull that across and snap it. And then you can grab this edge here and pull that across and snap it. And now you don't have that like indent there. But you can also come in here and delete these spaces just so it's nice and clean. Another good idea is to come in here, and between like where your walls would be, you want to come in here and delete those spaces too. Don't forget the floor, just kind of like in between your rooms. Delete those spaces. And then you want to leave where your floor would be between your rooms. And then come in here to extrude, and then select your edge, and we can just extrude that over and snap it to make the walls between our rooms. Just like this, and just snap it. Just like that, snap it. And now we can work on the ceiling. There's a couple of ways you can do your ceiling. You can just select this over here and just extrude it all the way over, and that will work. Or you can go to your move tool, select edge, select your edge, select the other edge, and hit F, and it will fill it. Not fill it like F-I-L-L-E-T, but fill as in it'll fill. And we can do that back here too. I just don't make sure you're like reselecting new edges and don't have the old ones selected, or else it's gonna be weird. And then in between here, what we can do is, instead of like making loop cuts and stuff, we could just select these small edges up top here, and those are actually wrong, so we will select the ones below it, just because that will be like the actual top of our door. We don't want our door to extend all the way up. We can come here and hit fill. We can go back to face mode and delete these inside faces because you're not going to see those. And then we can take our extrude region, go back to edge mode, select our edge here, and drag it up and snap it to the top. Select our edge, drag it up, snap it to the top, and now we have our doorway. And with that, we have our completed 2 rooms. From here, you can start, depending on who you ask, they like to do it different ways, but you can start texturing things now, or you can wait until kind of down the road. But there is something you have to keep in mind is go into edit mode so you can select these faces. You want to come over here to drawables, shader tools, and these are all your shaders. And if you come over here to this button here to materials, you don't want to make materials like this because these won't work. exit edit mode to delete that. But don't make them like that. Those won't work. You want to come over here. You want to select default, create shade material. Everything will turn black. I'm going to hide all of the vanilla stuff because we don't need to see it right now. It'll make everything black, and it'll have a default material here. Do not change any of this. All of this is already set up by Sollumz the way you need it to be. Don't change any of it. If you want it to be like more metallic, then do it in the shading tab. Do it with your textures. Don't do it here. Again, I know a lot of people like, glowing things. Don't do it in your mission drop down here. Come over here, click this little arrow, type emission or emissive, and you'll have emissive, vehicle tire emissive alpha, light emissive night, and all this emissive stuff. And you can add it there. And again, it will show up here. So if I do emissive, create shader, it has our emissive here. But we don't want emissive on this. So we can go back to edit mode. And what you want to do is normally you will have 3 different textures with your texture. You'll have the diffuse, the bump, or specular, and then normal. So what you want to do is search for normal, and you want normal spec. Create shader, that will be for our floor. Create another one, that will be our walls. Create another one, and that will be for a ceiling. So we have 3 here, and they're all the same. So we can rename this one to ceiling. Rename this one to walls. Rename this one to floor. Now that we have all of those set, don't rename default, leave it default, and don't do anything to it. You want to click ceiling and just select your ceiling here. Don't forget the little bit in the middle between your rooms. Re-click ceiling here, click assign, click deselect, go to your floor, select all of your floor, and again, don't forget the little bit in the middle. Go to floor here, click assign, and deselect. And a trick is you can click default, click select, and it'll select everything that you have not assigned yet. So your floor and your ceiling will not be selected because you've already assigned those. So with that, we can go to our walls and click assign there, and now we have our walls assigned. Now if we go to default and click select, nothing gets selected. But you still want to keep default, because if anything goes wrong with your shaders, then it will default to default, and it won't crash or be buggy or anything like that. It'll be fine. I mean, it might not look right, but it'll be alright. So we want to go to our ceiling, go up here to shading, and then you'll have all this stuff here. What you want to do first thing is come down here to UV map 0, click the red, click UV map. And if you don't see anything here, you might have the frame selected, or again, because I don't have a numpad, I have to do it in a strange way. Were we doing floor or ceiling? We'll do floor. So you want to click floor, select. You have our floor selected. You want to come down here, select your UV map to 0 if you couldn't see that. So click this, and then click UV map 0 or UV map. And then up here, your top one will be your diffuse. Your middle will be your bump or spec. And then your bottom one will be your normal. So I will just use some arbitrary, I'll use textures from here. So let's see, our floor, so let's do painted, let's see, let's do these square tiles. So there's my diffuse. Now I need my displacement. And then now I need my normal. And as you can see, our textures kind of applied there, and they don't look great at all. So what you need to do is go over to your UV editing tab, expand the right pane a little bit, make sure you're on shading view. I need to do frame selected again. Come in here, and again, our textures don't look great. What you want to do is you can expand this a little bit more. Right click in the 3D view, right click, UV unwrap, cube projection, and it kind of sets everything into place. And you can always edit this. Come over here, hit A, select everything, and then you can hit S to scale. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. About there is good for me, and that looks good. You can come back to shading, click walls, and do the same thing. Make sure you select your UV map, select texture. We will do these plaster brick walls. There's my diff. Come back in here. Here's my displacement. And my normal. And again, as you can see, doesn't look right. Just make sure you have your UV map set. Come back over here to UV editing. Make sure you have your walls selected and nothing else. So select your walls. Right click, UV unwrap, cube projection. There's our wall texture. Obviously those are way too big of bricks. So we come over here, hit A, hit S, scale it out. Make those bricks a little bit smaller, let's say about there. Go to layout, make sure it looks good. That looks good. Come back to shading, go to ceiling. Make sure you have your UV map selected. Come up here, my diffuse, FiveM, textures, and we will do this pattern brick here, diffuse, spec sampler, textures, pattern brick, displacement, and last one, normal. Go over to UV editing. Again, make sure you have just your ceiling selected. Right click, UV unwrap, cube projection. Over here, hit S, scale it up, scale it down, whatever you want. About there's good. Go back to layout, looks good. Once you have all your textures done, again it depends on who you ask. Some people like to do it in different parts, but once you have all your textures done, what you need to do is hit tab to go to edit mode, go to vertex, hit A, and then come over here, go to the little green triangle, says data, go to color attributes, create a new one, and call this color 1 no space. Change it to face corner, bike color, click the color, go to RGB, change the green to be 0.2, hit enter, click off that or just move your mouse to get rid of the color selector. Make sure it's like this dark green, click add, and your color attributes are done. With that you can just select anywhere in the empty space to not select anything, or if you do have everything selected with A, you can hit A, like double tap it, and it will unselect everything. We can edit or exit edit mode with tab. We can come back to our materials here, rename this to be location, just like that. In your 3D view, hit Shift D. You'll have your building like duplicated and it'll be stuck to your mouse. Just right click, that will duplicate the building but leave its position to where it was. You want to come up here, rename this to like your name, so mine would be that, underscore your project, so this would be up in Vinewood, so like we'll say Vinewood Gas, and then underscore name it Shell. And then when you have that, you want to come down here to object and set all of this to 0. And then I have to come up here to view frame selected, and everything will be at 0. And you can also set your rotation to 0 as well. Once you have your building at 0, you want to hit V, convert to drawable, and you'll see that it created some stuff over here. If you open this, it created like a dot model. What you want to do is select your dot model in your 3D viewport again. Like select it over here, but then come over to your 3D viewport, hit Shift D, and it'll do the same thing. It'll duplicate it. You want to right click to just like remove the location, that like editing location. Come down here, hold Shift, and drag this out. And it'll be separate. Rename this to the same thing, but remove all of this at the end, and shell, so it's just like that. Have this selected. Have that selected. Come over here to your 3D viewport again, hit V, convert to composite. It will create some more stuff, so you want to select your poly mesh, hit V, apply flag preset, and then keep your poly mesh selected. You can hide your shell down here. And what you can do is when you have your poly mesh selected under your collisions, which is BVH, you can come down to material and remove all your materials, and it'll be like that. Come to data, the little green triangle, and remove the color attribute as well. Only do that for your collisions, not your shell. Once you've done that and you've hidden your shell and you have your polymesh selected, you want to close this drawable tab, go to collisions, create collision material, and this is where you set up the way like the floor sounds whenever you're walking on it. So for us, you can hit tab to go to edit mode because we're gonna have to select these faces down here. For us, the floor was kind of like a tile, so we're gonna use ceramic for the floor. So just search ceramic. Sometimes your the like sound or material that you want to use isn't here. That's just too bad. You got to get over that. You can't add your own collision materials, as far as I'm aware. So you just have to find one that approximately is right. So for us, that'd be ceramic. So we just create collision material, and they'll be down here in the material tab, and it'll look like just a normal material. And we'll work with that in a second. For our walls, those were a brick. So we'll use a breeze block. That's like a cinder block. So we add that. And then our ceiling was tile. So we will just use our ceramic up here. So with that, it'll be the same thing like with our texturing. You want to select your ceiling and everything that's going to be using that collision material, those like sounds. So for us, the floor and the ceiling, we want to set that to our ceramic, so click assign, and it's kind of the same thing. You can go to your well, you want to deselect that. You can go to the other material and click select, or you can come over here, hit A, select everything, go to ceramic, deselect, or not. Just select all your walls. You want to make sure you get all of them. You don't want to miss any walls. So, once you have all your walls selected, just making sure I got all of them right. That was from a different one, that's already selected. Make sure we got the inside of our doorway selected. Once you have everything selected, just assign it. And as you can see, our the shading kind of changed a little bit. Don't worry about it. You can hit tab to exit edit mode. Go back to object mode. You can minimize these. Unhide your shell. If you hide your collisions, there's your shell. There's our collision. From there, or from here, we can start working on our archetype. So open this, click the plus, and rename this to kind of the same thing. So Vinewood gas underscore main. Add underscore main at the end. From there, we want to have this on base. Select your shell up here and auto create. Down here, this texture dictionary here, this is where we kind of supply it with our textures, our texture dictionary name. Usually that's just the project name underscore YTX, or no, TXD for texture dictionary. You set that in there. Don't change anything in here. You don't need to. For an interior, rather. Change this to MLO. Go to your collision. Click auto create. And then you have all this down here. Don't change any of this. For rooms, you want to click create limbo room. And you'll see this blue box appear around it. What you want to do is just extend that blue box to be bigger than our interior, just a little bit, to create a little bit of a space around our building, just so things don't get freaky. And this is where you can put in your time cycle. This is kind of like kind of shaders and stuff of what everything looks like when you go in. So you can make everything kind of have a blue tint or something when you walk in, but for now we're just going to leave it like that. Let's see. We've already created our limbo room, so what we can do is click the plus and click room. And then we want to come in here and on our poly mesh, go into edit mode, face mode. You want to select the floor and a bit of the wall and click set bounds from selection, and depending on what you've selected, it will set the room to be exactly the size of your room. We need to select this up here just like that, so it extends. We want this included as well. And then for the back room, we want to create another room. We want to select the wall again. Let's go inside. We want to select the wall again. Select the floor to be like the size of our room. But you'll notice that we also have this like sliver between the rooms. You want to select that as well. It doesn't matter which room you have kind of spilling into your doorway, but I always do it this way. So you want to select the floor that's in your doorway and click set bounds from selection. And you'll notice we now have, it's really hard to see, but we now have two blue boxes that are right up against each other between our rooms. And then from there, we can start working on portals. So go over to the portal tab, and you want to go to vertex mode. You want to select the 4 vertices that are around your door. You don't want to select more than 4 like that, so that's 5. You also don't want to select 4 vertices that are not in line. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then this one's not in line. They all have to be in line just like that. And then click this to create from vertices, and you'll have your portal like that. And you want to make sure that the blue arrow is facing outwards, like into the world, not inwards to your room. And then from here, you want to make sure that your room from is your inside room. Whichever room you would be in when you're exiting this is your room from, so that would be room 2. And then you're exiting the building, so that would be to your limbo room. And then because we have 2 rooms, you want to create another portal. Come back here to this one. Select your vertices. And you can see, if you remember, I don't think I've selected that one just right. If you remember, we selected this floor to be on this room over here, so that they're up against each other, and on this line, you can see the blue line. That's where the 2 rooms are kind of touching. So we want to select the vertices that are on that line, and so you can actually remove this and create from vertices, or you can, if you've added it like this, you can update from vertices and do that. And again, you want all of these portal arrows to be like the direction of out. So from this room, it would be facing this way, and then from this room, it would be facing this way. And then because this is going from our back room to our front room, we want to change room from 3 and room 2 to room 2. And then you want to go to your entities, and then my mouse wheel is freaking out, but you want to go to entities, and you want to select your shell, add object as entity, scroll down a little bit, and you want to set the room to be limbo. Don't set anything for portal, don't set anything for entity set, don't change any of this. And we should be good to go. So you can scroll up a little bit, hit export Y type, go to your folders, Blender exported, export Y type. And then what you want to make sure of is go to your model here. You can minimize this. Go to your dot model under your shell. Go to drawable, and then set all materials embedded. And I'll show you why we're doing that. So set that. Click your shell. Scroll up. Export code walker. Blender exported. Export. If we go over to it, we now have this folder here. This has our textures, our custom textures in here. We need those. Come back over here, select your dot model, scroll down, set all materials unembedded. Make sure you see the thing. Click it a couple of times. Select your shell again, scroll up, export it once again. Go to your collisions, click export, save it in the same folder, Blender exported, and export. The next thing we do is just make sure you save your blend file. I did not, so just save it, name it, whatever, save it. And select your location here that you should still have off in the distance over there. Close your drawable. Open this object location and rotation tools. Open that, and you should say location and then have all these buttons. Just leave Blender like this for now. What we need to do now is go over to Blender and refresh it a little bit. Now we have all of our items here, but we still have these folders. This folder here, don't worry about it, we don't need to touch it. This folder though, we need to convert all of these textures to a format that GTA understands, which it does not understand, you know, .jpeg or .pngs or even .exrs. It doesn't know any of that. We need to set them to DDS. And that is a format that is not normally used by just everyday people. It's used in like games and stuff. But we can't just right click it, rename, and then just change it to .dds from JPEG. We need a tool called folder to YTD. I'll give you a link. But once you have it open, you can come out here, drag this folder onto it. Remember, it's your shell folder, not this one. Your shell folder. And it'll be in here. You want to change the format output from that to DDS files and click convert. And this will take a little bit depending. I have a pretty good computer and it still takes me just a little bit because it's having to go through every single one of those files. Once everything's done, it'll say done, one folder process, close it, change this from DDS to GTA5.ytd, uncheck that, click, it'll say done, one folder's process, click OK, you can close this, and then you will see that we now have a, where'd it go? Right here, we have this YTD file. You want to right click, rename it. If you remember, we set our YTD file to be our name _ TXD, just like that. Now what we can do is open CodeWalker, open the RPF Explorer. In your mods folder, this is important, in your mods folder, don't make like a whole new DLC, whatever, in your mods folder, go into here, go to edit mode, yes, right click, new, RPF archive, call it whatever your project is, so for us that would be fine wood gas, hit enter, there's our RPF, go into it, and then drag all of this, not the folders, everything but the folders, drag all of that into there. Once they're in here, you want to double check that your changes, your edits, have like copied over. So open your YBN. It's going to be a little hard to see sometimes. But sometimes you won't be able to see it. Your Y maps, again, those will just open like that. YDR, our door is open, as you can see. Our door is open. There's our collision that we made. And there's a slight problem that I totally forgot to mention. What you want to do is go into Blender and then on your collision, hide everything but your collision. On your collision, go to Poly Mesh and go to Edit Mode with Tab. Come up here to the two circles and then click Face Orientation. And you want to make sure that everything on the inside is blue. If something is not blue, like this face right here, you want to select them. Select everything that isn't blue. So that would be these faces, and you want to hit Alt, N, and flip. And now everything's blue. Everything on the inside is blue, everything on the outside is red. Just like that. And then hit Tab to exit edit mode. Minimize your collisions, hide your collisions, go to Shell. It's the same exact thing. You want to make sure everything on the inside is blue. So select your dot model, hit Tab, go to edit mode, select everything that isn't blue, select all the red, Select all that, Alt N, flip, and everything is blue now. Now what you can do is exit edit mode, click this, export CodeWalker, export to the same thing, export, unhide your collisions, select it, export, export, go back to your RPF, reselect everything, drag it back in. Now if we go into our YBN, now everything is solid on the inside. Obviously you'll see through like the front wall and stuff and certain walls, but that's because you're looking at it from the back side. As long as the inside is solid, you'll be fine. So you can close that. That's our archetype definition. Don't change anything in there. Here's our shell. As you can see the stuff on the inside. Don't worry about like this stuff here. You can't really help that. It's just kind of what it looks like. Sometimes it'll carry over to in-game, sometimes it won't. Just don't worry about it too much. But we can see the inside. There's our texture dictionary with all of our textures automatically sized and scaled and ready for us to use. There's the high definition collisions. Our doors open down there, so we're good to go. From here, you want to restart CodeWalker because we just imported some stuff. So you want to restart CodeWalker. Now I'm going to save my blend file one more time just because we did some changes. You want to open CodeWalker again. Hit T to bring up this bar up here and just let everything load. Once everything's loaded, you want to come up here to New, click the little drop down beside it, New YMap, click on your YMap here, click YMap, New Entity, and then go back to Blender, unhide your location, click it, and then remember Object Location and Rotation Tools, and it says Location here. Click this first button. If you hover over it, it says Copy the location of an object to the clipboard. You want to select that, and it will copy the location over. And then in position, you want to Control V, paste it in there, and you want to click Go To, and you'll see like a little alien egg. Oh, well, we're gonna have a little sign in our doorway. You'll be able to just walk through that. Don't worry about it. But usually you want to remove that. That's a part of the details that we didn't export. So you would just export the details, modify it, and then export it again from Blender. But as you can see, let me make it so we're not moving around so fast by scrolling up. We have our little egg down there, and that's not our interior, but you can see that our doorway is missing. You can see through it. You can see through the building and everything. Go back to Blender, and you want to select this second button. Copy the quaternion rotation of an object to the clipboard. So copy that one, and then it's this box here, this really small box. You want to remove everything in it, and then paste it. And then in the archetype here, you want to type your project name. So that would be Vinewood Gas for us. And then over here, it should say hash, and it should not say not found over here. So if it was not found, it'd say not found. It's hidden behind the button, but it's back there. And if it is found, your interior will pop up just like that, and it'll say up here. And as you can see, it is not rotated at all the right way. Don't try to rotate this by yourself. Go into here. This is most likely messed up, so just select all of it again and repaste it, and now it's lined up perfectly. Absolutely perfectly lined, positioned, and good to go. Once you have that, once you have your interior placed, and as you can see, there's a little bit of gap, but that's because I aligned it down here, and as you can see, there's like geometry difference. So you just have to be aware of that. And it's over here too. So you have to be aware of that and like match the inside of your door. But once you have it aligned and everything, come back to this window here. Click on YMap up here. Click calculate all flags. Calculate extents. Make sure you have YMap here selected. Click file. Save YMap as. Go to your folder. CodeWalker exported. And then name it your project. Line with gas. And then save it. And then go to tools. Manifest generator. Delete everything in here. Click generate. Save manifest. CodeWalker exported. Don't rename it. It should be _manifest.ymf. Click save. And you are done with CodeWalker. If you want to add doors and props on the inside, you would do that in Blender. That will be a different video because it's way more complicated than what we did here. It's not really complicated. It's just really hard to explain, and I'm too sick to explain it right now. So that'll be a different video. We are actually done with CodeWalker. You can close it. You should want to quit. Yes. Do you want to save? No, because we just did. You want to save the project? No. Save your blend file. We are done with Blender. And we can now put this into a server. So mine is in here. Let me just start it first. So let me go in here, resources, fmods, and I will just copy another resource so I don't have to redo all of it, and I will rename it Winewood Gas. Go into it, stream, delete all that, and oh, I forgot to start my database. So you want to take, shoot, there's one last step we forgot to do. So open CodeWalker again, go to RPF Explorer, go to mods, your RPF that you created, select all of this, right click, extract raw, and put it in CodeWalker exported, and then select folder. And then in here, CodeWalker exported, everything will be in here and it's all ready for you to go. There's your manifest, there is your YMap, everything's here for you ready to go. Click Control C, copy it, drop it into your stream, or just drag it. We'll set our marker to where our building is, which is up here. Just really right there. TP to it. And our building is in here, and this is kind of what happened, but you can see the interior is here. There's something weird going on with the textures that is really hard to explain, but like 99% of the time it doesn't do that. And to show you that the things do work, what you need to do is go into your stream, and the YMap for the vanilla building, just delete it. And then server starting, started, FiveM. The textures doing that like weird glitchy thing, sorry. The texture is doing that glitchy thing. Is a problem with the texture dictionary. I'm not entirely sure why it does that, but you need to just mess around with the texture dictionary input field in your archetype. So go back into Blender, archetype. Archetype. It'd be under this. No, it'd be under shell, and then texture dictionary here. So you just copy that, and then yeah. See, it should work, but it's really kind of weird. I'm not sure why it does it, but it's whatever. When I find a fix that is like consistent,
holy shit!
then I'll show you. But as you can see, everything is back. The building is back. Our interior is here. You can walk inside. Again, that sign's gonna be there. Textures are still freaking out. But again, if I find a consistent fix for it, then I'll tell you. You can walk outside, walk in. And there you go. That's how you make a multi-room